Hare Krishna. Shri Giri Govardhan Raj Ki. Thank you for inviting me to say a few words about Giri Govardhan. This is one of the more exciting festivals that we have in our Vaishnav line.
Should I make this higher?
It's okay.
It's okay?
Perfect. Because a lot of prasadam is involved. And as Narottam Das Thakur says, in Dwapara Yuga, Krishna preached to Arjuna Bhagavad Gita and preached to people, surrender to me, sarvadharma parityajya. And Narottam Das says, when Krishna comes as Lord Chaitanya, it's just dancing, chanting, and eating prasadam. That's our program. So Krishna convinced Maharaj Nanda to forego the Indra Yagya. Lord Indra is very puffed up, which is actually Djambudwip WB Bharat, Karoda Parushi Evacha, one of the qualities of a demon. So he got very, very puffed up, and he was blinded by his ego, and he didn't recognize who the son of Maharaj Nanda was. And so when Krishna convinced his father and the cowherd men to forego the Indra Puja, he got very angry. But there's many side stories to this particular pastime of Giri Govardhan. In the Garga Samhita, we have Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and there are other acharyas who give different reasons and pastimes of Govardhan, Giri Govardhan Maharaj. In the previous kalpa, previous to this kalpa, in the Satya Yuga, which is millions and millions of years ago, there was one Muni, one yogi. What was his name? Pulastya Muni. Pulastya Muni was living in Kashi, Varanasi, Kashi. And he was meditating and doing his yoga, but he thought, I'm a yogi and I need a cave. I have to have a cave to do my yoga program, my mystic yoga, my meditation, my asanas, my tapasyas. I need a cave. This is no good. So by his mystic power, he went up to the Himalayan mountains and met the king of all mountains, Danugiri. Danugiri. And he said, Danugiri, I really need a cave. Do you have any caves up here, a mountain with a cave that I can use in Kashi? Danugiri said, yeah, I have many caves. And you're a great yogi, so I have to satisfy you. So he's showing him around his cave showroom. He's showing this cave has 2 bedrooms and an attached bathroom. This cave here has a 3-bedroom with a penthouse on top, like that. He was showing him all the different, this is a studio cave, just very simple, maybe like that one. Showing him around the caves, and as he was doing that, Pulastya Muni noticed a cute little baby mountain over in the corner with beautiful caves in it. And he said, how about that guy over there? How about that guy? And Danugiri said, oh, no. You can't touch him. That's my son. So you can't have my son. So Pulastya Muni said, wait a minute now. You promised me that you would supply me any cave I wanted with the mountain with a cave. And I like this beautiful little baby mountain with this beautiful caves in it. This is the one I want. You have to, honor your word. So Pulastya Muni, he relented and said, okay, so Sorry, Danugiri relented and said yes. Okay, he complied. And so Palastri Muni went over to Giri Govardhan and said, you're coming with me to Kashi. Now Giri Govardhan's a devotee who's on Radharani's team. He's not really on any other team. And we know that Radharani's team is, according to Rupa Goswami, left wing. What's a left wing gopi? What's a left wing gopi? They love to pick a fight. That's one of their qualities. They love controversy, they love picking fights, and they're very adverse. That is how they work. They're not very demure, cooperative. So Giri Govardhan said, you talked to my father, but you didn't consult with me. So I don't know. You better give me, I'm going to give you some conditions here. You better, cooperate with me or I'm not going. So Palastri Muni said, okay, what are your conditions? He said, you may lift me and carry me to Kashi, but you can only do it when you're clean. It's a long way, and if you have to go to the bathroom, that's where I'm going to end up stopping. If you go to the bathroom, that's it. I'm done. You can't take me any further. So Palastri Muni thought, I'm a great mystic yogi. I can control my bladder. No problem. Let's go. So by mystic power, he lifted Govardhan, and he was going through the air. And as they were crossing over Vrindavan, Giri Govardhan saw, oh, this is not the material world. This is Krishna's world. This is Goloka Vrindavan. This is spiritual world. All bets are off. All rules are off. I want to go here. So by Girihari's potency, he poked the bladder of Palastri Muni and made him like overwhelmed with desire or need to answer the call of nature. So Palastri Muni was thinking, "Whoa, wow, what's going on? I gotta go pee." So he said, "Anyway, this is a kid. I'll put him down. He'll forget, about the conditions we made, the agreements we made, and then I'll keep going to Kashi." So he put Giri Govardhan down in Vrindavan, and he went in the bushes, and he serviced himself. He came back, and Giri Govardhan said, "Well, you forgot the agreement." He says, "This is where I'm staying. I'm staying in Vrindavan. This is where Krishna is." Palastri Muni said, "You have tricked me. You made me go pee. You tricked me. I curse you." He said, "For every year you're here in Vrindavan, you will diminish your height by 1 mustard seed." So that's one story. Giri Govardhan didn't really care. He was hundreds and thousands of meters high at that time, so he didn't worry about it. This is 6 yugas behind. So that's one story, and Palastri Muni was defeated by Giri Govardhan, and he remained in Vrindavan. Now another story given is that Giri Govardhan that was Satya Yuga. So he was sitting there waiting for Dwapara Yuga to come so that Krishna could walk on him, and he could serve Krishna in so many ways. He was considered by the inhabitants of Vrindavan and Radharani as the greatest devotee, because he served all the devotees. Secondly, he always got Krishna's lotus feet and Balaram's lotus feet on his body every day. He supplied water because there were many lakes on Govardhan Hill. There were fragrant flowers everywhere, malati, malika, jasmine, and the whole area was fragrant. And in this way, in many, many ways, he was serving the inhabitants of Vrindavan and the gopis. When Krishna wanted to have pastimes with the cowherd boys and they were tired, his caves would give them shelter. All the trees on Govardhan Hill supplied fruits, delicious flowers. Everything was perfect. There was nice bumblebees moving around. all the trees would supply honey and sap for the cowherd boys to enjoy. Like this, the cows got the best grass. In fact, Mother Yasoda, she would only select cow milk from the cows who ate the grass on Govardhan Hill. She was very particular, and this was the best grass in Vrindavan. And so the special cows for Krishna's milk were herded on pasturing on Giri Govardhan. So Giri Govardhan was serving all the devotees of Krishna in so many ways. So anyway, going back to Satyuga, Giri Govardhan was waiting and waiting and waiting. Then, you got Treta Yuga. In Treta Yuga, he said, well, at least now Lord Ram is coming, and I can maybe do some service for him, hopefully. So when Lord Ram was on the planet, he decided to build a huge bridge to defeat Ravana, the bridge from India to Sri Lanka. And he ordered all the monkeys and all his monkey soldiers to go all over the kingdom and bring the largest rocks you can find, the biggest mountains, everything to make this bridge. So immediately Hanuman knew that Giri Govardhan was in Vrindavan, and he immediately flew over to Vrindavan, and he went and said, Giri Govardhan, now you can get Lord Ram to stand on you and walk on you over to Sri Lanka. Would you like to do some service? And Giri Govardhan, of course. I'd love to serve Lord Ram. So as he was picking up Giri Govardhan, there was a huge sound of a conch shell. And what was it? Lord Ram had sounded the conch shell that no need for any more rocks or mountains, the bridge has been built. So Hanuman said, that sound means that it's too late and the bridge is complete. So I'm really sorry, Giri Govardhan. What can I do? I'm so sorry. And Giri Govardhan was sitting there and he was saying, I'm so perturbed, I'm so destroyed, I'm so traumatized. How could you do this? You built me up here and now boom, you let me down. What is going on? You better give me some benedictions. So Hanuman said, okay, I can give you some benedictions. What do you want? So Giri Govardhan said, I wanted Lord Ram to walk on me. So what do you say about Krishna's coming in Dwapara Yuga? So Hanuman said, I give you the benediction that in Dwapara Yuga, Krishna Balaram will not walk on you only one time, like Lord Ram walked one time on all the stones to Sri Lanka, and that was it. He said, Krishna and Rama will walk on you every day, every single day while they're here in Vrindavan. Giri Govardhan said, wow, that's a great benediction. Thank you so much. Wonderful. Any more benedictions? So Hanuman was thinking and thinking. He said, okay, those devotee rocks at the bridge, they got the lotus feet of Lord Ram on their heads. But for you, I benedict you that Krishna will one day lift you up on his pinky finger and lift you above his head, and you become his umbrella for him and all his devotees. That's my second benediction. And Giri Govardhan was in ecstasy, Another Acharya has written a book, and in that book he writes another reason for Giri Govardhan, another pastime of Giri Govardhan was that over all these yuga, Giri Govardhan was sitting there and he was diminishing. He was a very big mountain, but he was diminishing yuga after yuga. Not only that, all the jungles and all the trees and all the vines and creepers were covering him, and he started getting covered in dirt. So Krishna made a deal with Indra. He said, I'm gonna curb your pride, but I'll also benedict you with the mercy. You can bathe Giri Govardhan, who's not different from myself when I come in Dwapara Yuga. you can just shower me and bathe me and clean me up, because in the form of Giri Govardhan, I'm going to be really dirty. I've been sitting for years and, millennia waiting like this for this Dwapara Yuga. So in this way, another Acharya writes that Lord Indra got the benediction of bathing Krishna in the form of Giri Govardhan. So that's another description by one of the Acharyas. Poke my memory here. Okay. Now we heard about how wonderful all the cows and inhabitants of Vrindavan, they get to walk on Giri Govardhan, and Giri Govardhan gives them service in so many ways. One time, Krishna decided he wanted to go and have pastimes with Chandravali. And to get to Chandravali's place, he had to walk over Govardhan Hill. So as he was going across Govardhan Hill, his footprints were stepping onto the hill, and his footprints were being left. And Giri Govardhan said, "Hey Krishna, where are you going?" And Krishna said, "I'm going to see Chandravali, but shh, don't tell anyone. Don't let Radharani know. I'm going to see Chandravali." Giri Govardhan said, "I'm in Radharani's party, so I'm not going to be quiet about this." He said, "You better figure something else out." She said, "No, please, I'm just going to see Chandravali, she's a wonderful gopi, blah, blah, blah. Just let me go, just don't tell anyone." Giri Govardhan said, "I can't make any promises like that. I love Radharani. I'm the servant of Radharani. I'm on her team. You go figure something else out. I'm not gonna, get involved in this scandal." So Krishna said, "Okay." And he said, "When I lift this mountain, what I'm gonna do, Lord Indra's gonna come. I'm gonna make him really mad. And when he rains on this mountain, all my footprints will be wiped away. And then no one will know that I went to see Chandravali." And that's what he did. So that's another description given by one of our acharyas of little pastimes, little side stories of Govardhan Hill. So those are some. Giri Govardhan Maharaj Ki. So we know the story that the Govardhan Hill was lifted, and Lord Krishna he defied the arrogance and taught Lord Indra a good lesson. Now, many people would think Lord Indra's pretty, that was a demoniac move. I mean, he sent the Samvartika clouds, which are the clouds used to wipe out the entire Bhumandala, the entire universe, at the end of Brahma's day. Everything gets covered by water. And he said, that's pretty heavy. That's pretty bad. That's a big crime against all the inhabitants of Vrindavan and Krishna. So when people would think that was the worst thing that anyone could do, and they compared it to Lord Brahma. They said, Lord Brahma, he just did a little mistake. He stole Krishna's cows and calves for a year and stuck them in a cave. I mean, it wasn't so bad. He brought them back, They came back after a few moments of Brahma. Not as bad. But the acharyas say it's the other way around. He said that Indra actually was less offensive than Brahma. Why? Because when Indra came and offended the entire Vrindavan, Braja Vrindavan, what happened was it gave Krishna an opportunity to serve all his devotees and spend the entire 7 days, 24 hours a day, with all the inhabitants of Vrindavan. So it was actually a kind of an inspiration or an initiative given for Krishna to be with his devotees, because the situation was like this. During the day, Krishna would go out with the cowherd boys and calves, and as soon as the sun set, Krishna would come home and all the cowherd boys would go home. But then at night, the gopis would come and say, Krishna, why are you neglecting us? You're having Sakya Ras with your cowherd friends and Dasi Ras with your cows all day when the sun's shining, and then you go home. What about us gopis? Don't you want to have a relationship with us? How can you, where's your character? How could you, neglect us like this? So Krishna got really busy, and at nighttime, for the full night, he would go off with the gopis. So at the night, the gopis had the moon, and during the day, the gopis had the sun. But none of them had Krishna 24/7. But when Indra arranged for Samvartaka clouds to come, and Krishna had to use Giri Govardhan as umbrella, all the inhabitants of Vrindavan suddenly got the mercy of being with Krishna 24/7. Now, when he was under there, this wasn't an ordinary situation. Because under this vast mountain, there were actually arranged by Krishna's potency beautiful lakes with beautiful swans and beautiful flowers, and everything was really beautiful. And there was wonderful prasadam, and the devotees were just having a great time underneath Govardhan Hill. It wasn't like they were all, like this. So Krishna was enjoying so much on the Govardhan Hill, seeing all his devotees, and they're glorifying him, and they're feeling wonderful, that sometimes his hand would tremble. And Mother Yashoda was looking, and she thought, I feed Krishna every 3 hours. Krishna gets fed by Mother Yashoda 8 times a day. But when he was under Govardhan Hill, she couldn't feed him. And she thought, oh, poor Krishna, his hand's trembling. Poor boy is so weak. He's not being fed enough. And she was completely overwhelmed by motherly affection and worry and concern of my son's getting, weaker and weaker. What will happen? So at the end of the 7 days, after Krishna put Govardhan Hill down, how many meals did Krishna miss? Anyone know? 56. Krishna missed 56 meals. So Mother Yashoda arranged what is called Chatanbhog. It's a festival in India where everyone arranges 56 meals for Gopal Krishna. And how many meals does Lord Jagannath get every day? 56 offerings a day. So this is how this Chatanbhog occasion came about. It was initiated by Mother Yashoda, like that. So while Krishna was under the hill, his hand was trembling, and what would happen was, he always wanted to, whatever situation he was in, he would make arrangements so that he could see Radharani. But Radharani was in Varshana with her father, Rishabhanu, and her mother, Kirtida. But what Krishna would do, he caused a situation, and then the news would travel. Bad news travels really fast, right? And so the news would arrive at Varshana that Krishna's in trouble. He's got this huge mountain that he's lifting, and he's just a little 7-year-old boy, blah, blah, blah. So Rishabhanu and all his area, he was the king of Varshana, would gather everyone from Varshana, and he'd take Kirtida. But then he'd have to bring Radharani too. So everyone would go to see and help Krishna under lifting Govardhan Hill, and then Krishna would see Radha. Now Krishna's hand, it was trembling, but when he saw Radha, his eyes moved over to her and his hand started shaking. And Lord Balaram was standing there, and he's like, okay, Krishna. And that is described by Rupa Goswami, that Krishna, when he saw Balaram smiling at him, or more or less smirking at him, because he felt such ecstasy seeing Radharani, and the whole hill started shaking. It's called Krishna's love for Radharani in the mood of shyness. One of his moods. That's another story, another side story to this thing. So these are different various stories from the Acharyas written in Garga Samhita and other literatures like that. Anyone have any other stories they'd like to offer? Gandhari?
Anyone else before?
Did you have a story or something? 2 stories? Okay. You wanted me? I don't know if the mic can. Do you want to come? I don't know. You can come up here and speak. Wow. Go. Go for it.
Okay, so I heard this from Bhakti Charu Maharaj. Can you all hear? And from Bhakti Charu Maharaj, he said when this hill is very special, when they lifted it, we would think there is mud and clay or whatever. Like you mentioned, there may be some lakes, right? But he said, no, with Krishna's mystic power, he can create anything. So there were beautiful jewels and palaces made from these beautiful jewels, you know.
Oh yeah, there were palaces.
Yeah, so there were palaces and gardens, and so they wouldn't feel any inconvenience, right? So we have a different conception because we think with our material minds, but this is in relation to when the Gopkupar went to Goloka and he was looking for Krishna, and he went all the way up to different planets and going to Goloka, and he couldn't go there. So somehow or other, of course, he went to a lot of demigods. So he had to take the demigods with him because they said, well, you know, that's where you will see Krishna, because he wanted to have Krishna as his friend and have personal relationship. So they went with the demigods, and of course this is like a side story, how can demigods enter Vrindavan, but I just recently listened to this story also, that these are different demigods. You know, there are demigods in the spiritual world, and then there are demigods over here, and this was also part of Krishna's Leela. So these demigods went there and they were amazed by seeing all these amazing jewels on the feet of gopis. And over here, because, you know, one time, was it some, I forget who it was, he goes to see, oh, my palace is nothing, you know, you have to go to see Indra's palace and Brahma's palace, and then they all exalt others' palace higher and higher. Then they finally go to Vrindavan and they see all these jewels everywhere, and nobody cares about them, and you know. So anyway, so back to the story is that when they lifted, everything was there. You know, and so opulent that we couldn't even imagine, right? But these are all Krishna's personal associates who come with him. So that's one story. The second story is very short. Do you remember the pastime of Vrinda Devi being cursed in Goloka?
Vrinda Devi?
Yeah. Was she Tulsi or Vrinda at that time? Yeah, Vrinda, I think. Yeah. Anyway, she got cursed. Why? Because one of Krishna's coward friends, he happened to look at her, right? But in Vrindavan and Goloka especially, everybody's center is Krishna. If they at all have any slight desire about anything else, immediately they have to come down. So Sudama, if I'm not wrong, I may be mistaken, but that's the name that comes to my mind. Him and Vrinda were looking at each other, and Radharani saw that. So immediately she cursed them to take birth in the material universe. And then she got angry and she cursed her too. She said, I cannot live without you. I curse you also. You go there. Then Radharani started crying. No, I cannot go without Krishna. I cannot leave Krishna. So then she went and told Krishna about this, and Krishna said, I'll come with you. Don't worry, I'll come with you. Okay? Because anything they speak, it comes true. Even up to the age of Satyug and Dwapar Yug, anybody who speaks, it comes true. That's why anybody who's practicing spirituality, they have to control their speaking, because you develop higher qualities. So we have to be very careful. That's why when we see in the past so many people curse and they cannot transgress that curse. It has to come true. So, being a Vaishnava is no ordinary thing. It's the highest position one can have, because Krishna becomes the servant of Vaishnavas. Even Krishna run after the devotees. That's why we have to control the speech. Anyway, so Radharani said, okay, Krishna said, I'll come with you. But then she said, oh, I cannot go without Govardhan and all the kundas, because everything that's here is also in Goloka, right? So then Krishna promised, yes, Govardhan will come with us, So that's also another story. And then all the other stories that you mentioned, it happened after. Originally, it was from Goloka that Vrinda Devi was cursed, and then Sudama became Sankachuda, the demon, right? And then Vrinda Devi meditated for 60,000 years to get the right husband and met the same person. Anyway, so that's the story of Vrinda Devi, but this was the origin of Giri Govardhan coming here. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Giri Govardhan ki jai.
Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.